Good morning, everybody. Bob Knakal, Chairman and CEO of BKREA, coming to you on another episode of What Would BK Do? And our question today comes from Seth Hensley of Hensley Mortgage. Came through LinkedIn. BK, I really enjoy following your content. I appreciate you sharing your insights on relationships, sales, and business development. I have a question for you, if you don't mind answering it. Before the use of current CRM technology, how did you manage your leads, contact information for current and past clients? What did your database look like? I don't like many of the current CRM options available, so curious what you did use prior to CRMs. Well, Seth, you'll be very interested to know that prior to CRMs, the same thing I'm using today. We have a CRM which we use to store data, manipulate data, etc. But there are two main things that I use to track my activities. One is a to-do list, and the other is just writing down the connections I make every day. It's very old school. The to-do list is kept on just a rotating email chain that I keep sending to myself and adding to it and deleting stuff. And that kind of is my guide for what I'm going to do every day, every week. And then I have my prospecting lists that generally I like printed out. I don't use them off of the screen. I have them printed and I love to mark on them, but every time I speak to somebody, I write down their name, what the follow-up step might be, and then I look at those call sheets for the week and I determine how I've done relative to my goal of 100 connections a week. I then also use those call sheets to add stuff to the to-do list. So everything is very, very analog. It really hasn't changed very much in 40 years. It's the same exact thing I've always used, but I find writing stuff down and tracking everything that we do is very, very important. You know, my coach, Rod Santamassimo, is always after me, make sure I'm tracking everything I'm doing, aware of how productive I am, that kind of thing. So the to-do list, then the call list, and then the third thing, I guess, that I look at pretty much daily is the lead list, which every time I speak to somebody and they want a BOV or potentially are interested in selling, they go on the lead list, and that lead list is just kept in Excel and, you know, constantly looking. But those three things really guide my entire practice. So hope that's helpful. If you find a CRM, you know, they always say that the best CRM is the one you actually use. So I hope that's helpful, but find out whatever system works for you. But the most important thing is make those calls. Nothing is more important from a revenue generating perspective than making your prospecting calls. So make your calls however you track them, however you figure out a way to do them, and follow up on everything. Whatever works for you is the best system, but you got to make the calls. Everything else will fall into place if that's the case. Seth, thanks so much for your question, and we'll talk to you next time.